A drop of golden liquid clings to the rim of a modern glass, reflecting the neon hum of the city. Deep beneath our modern streets lies a memory that stretches back 10 million years. High in the ancient canopy of a prehistoric African forest, a heavy mist hangs in the morning air. A small primate steps cautiously onto the damp earth, its dark eyes scanning the forest floor. A bruised, overripe fruit lies half buried in the rotting leaves, its skin split open by the heat. Wild yeast floats silently through the humid breeze, settling into the sweet, exposed pulp. Microscopic reactions begin to transform the natural sugars into a pungent, intoxicating elixir. The primate lifts the soft fruit to its mouth, biting into the sharp, bubbling juices. A sudden warmth spreads through its small chest, bringing an unfamiliar sense of comfort. This accidental encounter triggers a genetic adaptation that will alter the course of evolution forever. Fast forward to a harsh, wind-swept valley in Israel 13,000 years ago. Heavy grey clouds roll over the jagged cliffs of Reykjavik Cave. A nomadic hunter, draped in rough animal skins, steps inside to escape the biting wind. His calloused fingers trace a deep, circular hollow carved directly into the stone floor. Wild barley stalks, gathered from the surrounding hills, lie piled in the corner of the cavern. A heavy stone pestle crushes the grain, releasing a dry, earthy fragrance into the cold air. Rainwater drips steadily from the cave ceiling, filling the rock mortar to the brim. Days pass in silence while the dark mixture rests undisturbed in the shadows. Small bubbles begin to rise to the surface, creating a thick, frothy foam. The hunter kneels on the cold stone, lifting a handful of the murky liquid to his lips. The rich, fermented taste sparks an ancient joy buried deep within his DNA. These people have no farms, no permanent homes, and no pottery to store their food. Yet, in the darkness of this cave, they have mastered the delicate art of brewing beer. The shared secret binds the nomadic clan together during the long winter nights. 1,000 miles away, a sun-drenched limestone ridge rises above the plains of southeastern Turkey. The morning sun bathed the barren landscape of Göbekli Tepe in a harsh, golden light. A massive gathering of rival tribes approaches the hill, their footsteps echoing across the dirt. They carry no weapons, only heavy ropes and stone chisels made of flint. In the center of the ridge, an enormous circular pit has been excavated by hand. Giant T-shaped pillars of solid limestone lie on the ground, waiting to be raised. A young builder wipes thick sweat from his brow, his muscles straining against the thick fibers. Hundreds of hands pull in perfect unison, chanting a rhythmic song that fills the valley. The 10-ton stone monolith slowly tilts upward, casting a long shadow across the dust. Expert craftsmen strike the limestone surface, carving the shape of a leaping fox. Nearby, another pillar displays a fierce scorpion, its stinger raised in defiance. These magnificent structures rise toward the sky before anyone in the world has built a single house. No agricultural fields surround this mountain, and no domestic animals graze on its slopes. For decades, modern archaeologists wondered what could motivate nomads to build such a monument. The answer lay hidden within giant stone vats resting in the shadows of the pillars. Blackened residue clings to the bottom of a 600-liter limestone basin. Chemical tests reveal traces of calcium oxalate, the unmistakable fingerprint of fermented grain. This barren hilltop was not a city, but the grandest temple of celebration ever constructed. Thousands of travelers journey from distant regions, guided by the smoke of massive fires. Great hearths burn bright against the darkening sky, roasting wild game for the feast. The ancient vats bubble with an abundance of wild, intoxicating beer. A stone chalice is dipped deep into the frothy liquid, dripping onto the dry earth. The tribal elders lift their cups toward the stars, signaling the start of the ritual. Music from hollow bone flutes floats through the night air, blending with the laughter of the crowd. Boundaries between rival clans dissolve as the warmth of the alcohol takes hold. The shared experience creates a collective identity that never existed before. To keep these massive festivals alive, the tribes must return to this hill every single year. Heavy baskets of wild grain are dragged across the landscape to feed the gathering crowds. Millions of seeds drop accidentally into the fertile, trampled soil around the sanctuary. Year after year, the regular return of the nomads transforms the vegetation of the hill. The hunter-gatherers notice the thick patches of grain growing precisely where they held their feasts. A radical idea forms in the mind of an ancient clan leader. Instead of searching the wilderness for wild barley, they must protect this sacred soil. They begin to clear the weeds, guard the sprouts, and deliberately plant the seeds. The heavy stone walls of permanent shelters begin to rise around the agricultural plots. Civilization is born, sparked not by the hunger for bread, but by the thirst for beer. Baking bread requires endless grinding, kneading, and precise heating over a fire. Brewing is a natural miracle, requiring only water, grain, and the patience to let it sit. The intoxicating reward provides a far more powerful motivation to settle down. By 7000 BC, this sacred liquid spreads across the fertile lands of China. In the Neolithic village of Jiahu, a potter shapes a delicate clay jar with a narrow neck. He carefully blends wild rice, sweet honey, grapes, and hawthorn berries into the mix. The complex recipe produces a sophisticated beverage rich in both flavor and nutrients. The ancient world is now completely intoxicated by its own creation. Thousands of years later, the scorching sun beats down on the Giza Plateau in Egypt. A line of exhausted laborers drags a colossal limestone block across the burning sand. The muddy waters of the Nile River flow nearby, thick with dangerous bacteria and disease. Drinking straight from the river means sickness, but the pharaohs have a solution. Enormous royal breweries operate day and night along the riverbanks. The brewing process boils the contaminated water, killing the invisible parasites within. At the end of a brutal shift, each worker receives a ration of 4 to 5 liters of thick beer. This is their actual salary, a daily paycheck poured into a ceramic jug. The dark liquid is heavy with unfermented yeast, providing vital calories for their survival. It acts simultaneously as a water filter, a nutritious meal, and a well-deserved reward. Without this steady supply of liquid energy, the Great Pyramids would never have risen. Egyptian priests pour libations of beer onto the temple altars to appease the god Osiris. Inscribed clay tablets list medical formulas where beer is used to dissolve healing herbs. A single beverage has become the economy, the medicine, and the religion of an empire. Across the Mediterranean, Greek philosophers debate destiny while sipping wine from shallow bowls. Roman legions carry vinegary wine across Europe, using it to sanitize their water supplies. The history of human progress is mirrored perfectly in the history of fermentation. In the 21st century, an archaeologist peers through a high-powered microscope in a silent lab. He examines the ancient starch grains recovered from a 12,000-year-old stone tool. The data on the computer screen confirms the radical theory beyond any doubt. The traditional timeline of human history has been completely upside down. We did not build cities first and then discover the joy of alcohol. The frantic search for alcohol is the exact reason we built cities in the first place. The solitary nomad who once walked the wilderness has become a builder of worlds. A modern bartender pours a draft beer, creating a thick layer of white foam. The condensation drips slowly down the side of the cold glass. A patron reaches out, his hand carrying the same evolutionary urge as his prehistoric ancestors. The amber liquid shimmers under the soft bar lighting, holding a million forgotten stories. Every cheer, every toast, and every shared glass connects us to that ancient African forest floor. We are not just consuming a drink, we are participating in a 10-million-year ritual. The tools have advanced, the recipes have evolved, but our primal desire remains unchanged. The next time you raise a glass, remember the nomads who carved the stone pillars of Turkey. Think of the Egyptian laborers who built the wonders of the ancient world on a liquid salary. Honor the drunken monkeys who braved the forest floor in search of a fleeting warmth. Our thirst did not just entertain us, it drove us to conquer the planet. The history of civilization is written in the bubbles of your drink. Raise your glass to the ultimate catalyst of human evolution. Let the warmth spread through your chest, just as it did in the caves of Israel. Remember the massive stones moved by the power of a shared feast. The ancient world still speaks to us through the scent of fermenting grain. We settled the wilderness because we wanted a permanent place to brew. We built empires because we needed to secure the harvest. We mapped the stars to track the seasons for our sacred crops. Every civilization has been fueled by this beautiful, chaotic obsession. The neon lights of the city fade as the night grows deeper. Inside the quiet tavern, the last glass is emptied. But the ancient spirit remains awake, waiting for the next dawn. The cycle of cultivation and celebration continues its endless march. From the first fallen fruit to the modern brewery, our journey is complete. We are a species defined by our unique relationship with the brew. So take a sip and taste the true origin of the civilized world. Cheers to the ancient urge that built our modern reality.